know. I know. So good morning, everybody. We're here on the site of the former Boston State Hospital. The overall redevelopment of this site has been going on for many years. In fact, it goes back to when I was serving as Secretary of Administration and Finance in the Weldon Salucci administration back in the 90s. And one of the most important decisions that was made back then was a decision that was made by the Citizens Advisory Council and by the Commonwealth to stop thinking about the Boston State Hospital site as a single parcel and to actually start thinking about it as a collection of opportunities that could be used to support and service and provide opportunity for the community on a one basis. And it was that decision in many respects that I think unlocked the fact that the whole parcel had basically sat vacant for a very long period of time and suddenly began the process of being redeveloped. And as we're here today, we're talking about the last big development parcel left on the site. And the last time I was around this big parcel was to make the announcement associated with about a $60 million investment in home ownership programming, which the folks at Mass Housing have currently worked on developing an advisory board for, and will probably be putting proposals out to bid sometime later this year, which is going to be a big opportunity for folks in this community, but also folks in many gateway communities around the Commonwealth. Today we're here to announce the selection of a developer for this final site on the Boston State Hospital site, and it will be developed by several minority-owned businesses, which will create important opportunities for them and for people in this community along the way. But before I get into the details around that, I do want to do my daily update on COVID-19 testing cases and hospitalizations. We're encouraged by the continued progress we've made on COVID-19 with respect to our public health metrics, which allowed us to launch step 2 of phase 2 of our reopening process yesterday. We'll continue to monitor those key public health data as we move forward toward the next phase. I think, as everybody knows, phase 2 started recently and many new types of businesses started operating as a result. I know it's been difficult, to say the least, for all of those businesses and many of their employees, but thanks to everybody doing their part to slow the spread, many more people are getting back to work this week. Our public health team will collect data over the course of the next 2 weeks and monitor how things are going with respect to those key indices as more and more people get back out and about in their communities, and that will inform decisions we make going forward with respect to additional advancements. Now, as of yesterday, 937 people were hospitalized with COVID-19 in the Commonwealth, which is a 74% drop since April 15th. And 180 COVID-19 cases are currently in the ICUs in Massachusetts. That's also a very significant drop from the middle of April. Yesterday, over 6,700 new tests were reported from across the Commonwealth. 149 new positive COVID-19 tests were confirmed, which means the 7-day average for the positive test rate with regard to cases is down to about 1.9%. And that's a 93% drop since April 15th. Last week, as many people know, the Commonwealth offered COVID-19 viral testing for people who recently attended a large gathering, like the demonstrations and protests to honor George Floyd. And this morning, we got the final results of that. Out of 17,617 tests that were conducted statewide, 2.5% came back positive for COVID-19, which is reasonably consistent with the statewide numbers that we see in our daily testing. We're obviously pleased to see that the percentage of positive tests was quite low, considering the frequency and the size of those protests and demonstrations. But we also pointed out that the vast majority of the folks who participated in those demonstrations were wearing masks or face coverings of one kind or another. Many cases they were moving, which I think made a big difference, and of course they all took place outside, which we all agree is a far safer environment than indoors. We're obviously encouraged by the continued progress we've made on many of those public health metrics and are going to continue to monitor them as we proceed through the rest of the reopening process. We do believe part of the reason we've been successful so far with our reopening strategy is due to the work and the efforts of everybody here in the Commonwealth to do the things that make a difference to contain the spread of the virus. Please continue to wear face coverings, practice social distancing and good hygiene, stay home if you're not feeling well, and seek guidance from your medical provider, either using telehealth services, which people here in Massachusetts have adopted enthusiastically, or by visiting them. Most of our healthcare providers at this point are now open and back in business. Keep in mind that COVID-19 will not take a summer vacation. Other states are seeing surges right now. It's a clear indication about how important it is for people to continue to be vigilant, and we want to avoid anything like that happening here in Massachusetts. Just want to make a quick announcement with respect to this year's sales tax-free weekend. This was passed and enacted by the legislature. We signed it last year. We're happy to announce that this year the sales tax-free weekend in Massachusetts will be August 29th and 30th. This break from the sales tax has always been an important way for the Commonwealth to support many small businesses and consumers, but it's obviously especially important this year given the fact that so many of those businesses have just recently reopened. With respect to this announcement that we're here for today, as everybody knows, the Boston State Hospital was closed years ago. This property has been in a course of redevelopment for the better part of the past 20 years. To date, a number of different projects have been developed, and today we're here to announce a plan for the final and last parcel. Upon completion, this entire project will result in the development of around 200 housing units, over 50 affordable units for seniors, nearly 300 rental units, 45 cooperative townhouses, Mass Audubon's Boston Nature Center, and Wildlife Sanctuary, where we're located here today, facilities for the Brook Charter High School, and Mass Biologics, and more. Today we're pleased to announce that Primary Corporation, in conjunction with Toll Brothers, have been selected to develop the final 10 acres of this property. Primary Corporation is a modern minority business enterprise, and they plan to develop close to 400 residential units on this parcel with a combination of senior and affordable housing. Food amenities, a farming initiative, daycare, and a shuttle bus to Forest Hills MBTA station will also be part of this project. The site will be a truly great place to live and raise a family, with easy access to the T and open space to support a healthy lifestyle and outdoor activities. Kirk Sykes, who's the president of Primary Corporation, is here with us today. Kirk is a member of our Black Advisory Commission and has been an important voice as we continue promoting projects for MBE businesses here in Massachusetts. I'd also like to thank the members of the Citizens Advisory Committee and the other local leaders for their hard work, which in many cases has been ongoing for the better part of 20 or 25 years. And I specifically want to thank Representative Russell Holmes for his work as well. He's been a big champion of redeveloping this parcel and this site overall, and especially this particular project. For this contracting project, we've been using the so-called Massport model, which integrates diversity and inclusion for development, financing, construction, and more. And we're committed to this model because it was enormously successful in ensuring contracts went to women and people of color, groups who in many cases have historically been shut out of many construction and development projects like this one. Primary Corporation is also committed to working closely with numerous other minority-owned business and women-owned businesses here in Massachusetts throughout this project that had a lot to do with the reason why they were the unanimous choice of the CAC as well as the choice of the Commonwealth. Construction-related activities will begin on the site sometime in 2021 and conclude in 2024. Let me close with this. I said before that we have a very strong working relationship with the Black and Latino Caucus and with Representative Holmes. Those conversations have been enormously important and productive in developing a shared opportunity to pursue a variety of initiatives, including ones like this. As a result, we take very seriously the opportunities and the possibilities that come from those dialogues and the discussions. Every 90 days for the past 5 years, we've been talking to them about a whole variety of opportunities, and it's projects like this, when they finally get to fruition, that make all that work, that conversation, and that dialogue worthwhile. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Carol Gladstone, who's the Commissioner of the Division of Capital Asset Management and Planning.
Thank you, Governor. As the Governor said, I'm Carol Gladstone. I'm the DCAMP Commissioner, and it's wonderful to see everyone here today. Thank you for giving us what we call the Corona spot. I think it highlights how important this announcement is to us and to our agency directly. We take a lot of pride in the work that we've been doing out here. And I want to start by actually thanking the Citizens Advisory Committee, which is folks who are sitting back. You can put up your hands. I'm going to actually call people by name. Donna Young is the acting chair. Don Dingle, the vice chair. Royal Bowling Jr., Mary Burks, Joyce Carroll, Mabel Graham, Carmen Kessler, Glenola Mitchell, Shamika Nurse, and Bev Johnson, who's been working as a staff person for them all these years. Thank you all for the work you've done. You guys have been awesome. I want to mention, we had a series of large community meetings at the Brook, we held at the Brook High School. We luckily got those in at the end of February, but the CAC has been meeting with our staff through Zoom through this process, and technology can work, and we've continued to work at DCAM to move the business of the Commonwealth forward, and this is a great, great moment. It's wonderful to be here on the Boston Nature Center site, Boston Audubon. This was the first parcel that was developed or was awarded, and we've really come full circle. Not only with this, but also with the work that Kirk's going to describe with working with the community gardens. And with that, I also want to recognize Jim Clark, who sadly passed this year, but who has been was an important force all the way through the Boston State redevelopment process. The governor said this new proposal will include housing and a bunch of other things, but it comes after an enormous amount of development that's happened already, including over 500 units of housing, the Brooks School, this Boston Nature Center, Mass Biologics. This has been an incredible, incredible effort over almost a generation, and I thank everyone who's helped make this happen. With a special shout out to my staff who are here today, Heidi Green, Steve Andrews, Paul Crowley, Freya Bernstein, and Natalie Sawyer on legal. You guys have helped make this happen. And I also want to thank our elected officials, particularly Representative Holmes, who has helped keep us on target as we've tried to move this forward. With that, I would like to turn this over to Clerk Sykes. Congratulations, and can you share with us some words about the project? Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, and I'm so glad you mentioned Jim, because I'd just like to ask for a couple of seconds of silence for Jim, because many of you may know that Cooper Community Gardens was the first thing to happen on this site almost 40 years ago, and Jim was single-handedly, along with the other gardeners, responsible for getting this party started. And if we could just take a moment. Thank you. Jim would be really proud of today because a lot of great things, as the governor described, have taken place on this site, but what we envision is about to happen is the glue that brings it all together and invites the community in. So first, let me thank the governor and Lieutenant Governor, Commissioner Gladstone, Representative Holmes, all of DCAM that worked tirelessly on this, and then, of course, the City of Boston, the mayor, the city councilors who attend those CAC meetings, and then most importantly, as Carol has already shouted out as well as the governor, the CAC. The CAC has tirelessly, for every month of the last 35 years, showed up and brought the community together at the Foley Building. So could you all stand up one more time and raise your hands, please? So what I'm thanking you for is the opportunity to make our community greater. It's already great. What we envision is making it even better and inviting everybody in. So Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor and the Commonwealth are essentially leveraging this state land asset. They're creating economic development and innovation in our community. That opportunity comes with a responsibility and an obligation. We get that. To be inclusive, to be local, to invite the community into all aspects of campus, businesses, jobs, training, housing, all of those need to be the inclusion that we all want in this community and on this site. The name campus was selected to commit to being a place that, like an academic campus, is open and inviting, a place of interaction and innovation, and a place of collaboration and advancement. And we expect all of that to happen on this site. Primary Investments, Accordia Partners, and Toll Brothers Apartment Living, and our entire campus team, please raise your hands, because there's a big team out there. So proud of these folks. They've spent a lot of time and energy making this vision happen. Look forward to partnering with the Commonwealth, our community, and our community-based organizations and businesses to achieve the place we all want to have and enjoy. Primary Investments and Accordia Partners, both minority business enterprises, set out to become one of America's most significant real estate platforms. Significant to us means creating change through real estate development and investment. Change in ownership, change in businesses, jobs, training, and education, with the goal of uplifting the communities that we build in. Most importantly, we pursue diverse and inclusive change intended to address the wealth gap that creates the need for places like this and creates healthy and safe places for all. That's what we're about. The primary Accordia Toll leadership recognizes that the concrete actions must begin now. And we commit to use our development platforms to further advance these diverse and inclusive initiatives immediately. So what are they? Build diverse and inclusive businesses. Support and empower local and MBE, WBE small businesses like Ripple Cafe, who will be on the site in Ashmont now, and Brazos Ferte Brewers, one of the only black-owned, women-owned brewing companies in America. Or create D&I jobs. Set local hiring goals that are significantly higher than what's expected of us. Provide diverse and inclusive job training, like what we'll do with Mattapan Teen Center and the residents who want to work on this site and want to work beyond this site. Offer diverse and inclusive education opportunities, like our REX real estate education program, some kids of color can get into an industry that has been woefully exclusive of them, as well as healthy growing and healthy living initiatives that will take place with Cooper Community Gardens and the local health centers.
Down to what community benefits are you going to deliver? We heard from the community more. We want a daycare center. We want a specific answer on what that looks like. We heard from the community, we want to make sure that during the day we can shuttle the seniors back and forth to stores. We want an opportunity in the morning to just take a shuttle over to Forest Hills. This is community desire. Not something you would ever hear just standing or sitting down at DCAM or downtown. You just wouldn't hear it. You just wouldn't hear it. And so we also said, we're very happy Toll Brothers is coming in town. Thank you, Bill, for taking this initiative. But we know what Toll Brothers does around the country, and we know what they want to do here in the city. We want ownership. Do not bring us a project that is rental only. We want some of the money. That's what we want. And so sharpen your pencil, figure out how you've done that in the past, and then figure out how we also own part of this project. These are the types of things that we were saying to all the developers. They all had their opportunities. Sharpen your pencils and deliver what this community needs. The governor mentioned about how when he was at A&F, they saw it as a great opportunity to really make sure that we got all of these different sites mobilized and obviously developed. We're at the end now. And at this end, when you come towards the end, now we have to reconnect all of these dots. Now it has to feel natural that the person over in Harbor Commons is coming over to the Audubon. Now it has to feel natural that the person who's over at Mass Biologics is going to eat at Ripple and all of the other places. It has to feel natural that when we did Lena Park, that all the students in this area get a mailer to say, come over to my school. All of these things now need to be connected, not just through the campus design, which now is an anchor for us, but every one of their designs. You see the community centers being built over at Lena Park, over at Lena Development. You see the community center being built over at Cruz. Connect all of these projects so that this community has what feels like an even and natural flow to benefit from everything that we've done on this site, from education to jobs at Mass Biologic to this great nature center to all the restaurants that Kirk is building. It needs to feel natural. That's what it needs to feel. And it needs to be for us. Us. We did not develop a neighborhood for somebody else to move in here. That's not why we developed it. And like I said to you from the beginning, I'm offended when folks believe that I would be behind anything that's not developing for us. And so we announced today this, and we have Kirk as a team, and you've heard me say Bill and Toll Brothers. I've been out to the Kendrick. It is a beautiful site that they did out in Needham Heights. Beautiful site. That's the level of quality that I expect on this site. Same level of quality. Built by us. And that's where I'll end it. Somewhere there's a goal here in the Commonwealth that we have, that you have somewhere in the neighborhood of about, we say, hey, we want a diverse participation of about 13%, people of color and women and things of that nature. And I've just seen many developers say, hey, we have met the goal. We have gotten, when I see BG and Priscilla and Brother Lowe, I know I gave them a shout out last week with the governor for the post thing, but they're here again demanding that we have the jobs. That's why you're here, right? We have a neighborhood that we live in. My wife and I, my mom, we can all just walk over from our different places. This is our neighborhood. We do not expect folks in our neighborhood to walk by a site and see 13% participation and think that's successful. This is a neighborhood that is somewhere in the neighborhood of 95% of color. So when you go and you think you've had a great goal of saying, hey, I've gotten 13%. Look at this. I've exceeded this goal. We're at 18%. You guys were demanding 13. Look at how wonderful we are. That's never wonderful when 95% of the people walking by your site are people of color. So you might have hit an 85% number, a 13% number, but that still means 85% of the people there are white. That's not what we're expecting. Kirk understands. Bill understands. We want people to be able to walk up, put their name in the little drop box that walks from my neighborhood, and go from a drop box to some training that might be needed to a job. Because you knew when they put the name in the drop box, they didn't have that OSHA training. You knew it. You knew it. But you cannot develop in my neighborhood not knowing that you also need to make sure you train us so that we can begin a career here and not just have a job. So thank you, Kirk. Thank you, CAC. Thank you, community. We have put our demands on this project, and we expect you to deliver. We only want the best. Thank you.
Questions on the project? Let's start there. Other questions?
I'm just letting you know how I feel, and let's go to practice how I feel. So I want to know, what are you going to do on that aspect? Because this is nice to be able to build a house out here and build it, you know. But one of the main things we're also interested in ensuring that happens is people up here. We're sitting in the middle of the highest rate of unemployment, right here in Mattapan, Dorchester, and Rockport. We want to make sure that, like Dr. Holmes said, there's employment, serious employment.
We'll set it up. We'll talk to you soon, okay? And I'm sorry that didn't happen. And I'm really sorry about what happened to your mother-in-law.
I'm trying to be respectful. I'm really trying to be respectful.
I appreciate that. Like I said, I'll set it, I didn't know about it. I'll set it up. We'll have the conversation. Yep. Yep. Well, the first thing I'd say is that the PUA program, which was the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, the part for gig workers, we were one of the first states in the country to actually set that up. And we have about 300,000 people who are currently actively collecting under that program. And what we are now dealing with, not just here in Massachusetts, but around the country, is a very large exercise in fraud and theft that's being led by people who, over the course of many years, stole identities. Some of those biggest identity breaches that took place have been used by these fraudsters to basically apply for, with all the information that they need to successfully collect unemployment, who aren't entitled to it. It's theft. It's theft from you. It's theft from us. It's theft from everybody. And we have put in place a series of mechanisms to make sure that we are paying out this money to the people to whom it's entitled. And as I said, the work on this one is ongoing. We're cooperating with federal and state law enforcement authorities on it. And part of the reason we've been relatively quiet about what we're doing to deal with this is I have zero interest in providing a roadmap to people who are trying to steal money from the people of Massachusetts about what it is we're doing to fight them. And the mechanisms we put in place are the ones that are being used in many other states to ensure that the people who get the money are in fact the people they say they are. And as I said, one of the first states to put this program up, there are 300,000 people currently collecting under it, and we do everything we can to make sure that somebody is who they say they are. And we've had lots of back and forth almost every day with the Attorney General's office on people who come to their attention and people come to our attention to make sure that the people who get the resources are in fact the people who are entitled to it. But at the same time, we got to make sure that this very sophisticated and aggressive network of thieves don't steal money that belongs to other people, which is what we're dealing with. We worked very hard with the caucus and with other folks to put in place a program that would do two things. Number one, enhance the training, education, and certification requirements to be a law enforcement officer in the Commonwealth of Mass. And secondly, I'm really hoping this legislation gets passed between now and the end of this session so that we can put this program in place. And secondly, to create a program that we do not have in Massachusetts to actually decertify officers who don't meet the standards associated with that training. In Massachusetts currently, there is no hard decertification process if you use a chokehold. There is no hard decertification process if you don't intervene when you should to protect somebody. There is no hard decertification process in place in Massachusetts if you violate someone's human rights. There is no hard decertification process in place in Massachusetts if you engage in biased behavior and activity under state law. There is no hard decertification process in place currently for any of those things.